Excel stuff.
There's just so much to learn in Excel. I can't learn all this.
We need you to get on top of the Excel stuff. With the Excel stuff. We need you to get on top of the Excel stuff. We need you to get on top of the Excel stuff. We need you to get on top of the Excel stuff. We need you to get on top of the Excel stuff. With the Excel stuff. With the Excel stuff. With the Excel stuff. With the Excel stuff. We need you to get on top of the Excel stuff. We need you to get on top of the Excel with the Excel stuff. With the Excel stuff. With the Excel stuff. The Excel stuff. Excel stuff.
Now, I've said it before, but it feels truer than ever. There's so much stuff to learn in Excel. So how do you even get started? Well, imagine if you knew exactly what to learn for Excel. Imagine if you knew exactly the tool for your project, or even if you just knew the 20% of the tools that are going to give you 80% of the value. And imagine if you knew how to avoid those Excel rabbit holes. The truth is, Excel and spreadsheet related problems in organizations are a lot simpler than a lot of people think. And today I'm sharing the exact toolkit that I'm using to help professionals like you in organizations across the world, yes, on real world projects. And with the right mindset, with the right approach, Excel doesn't need to be a nightmare. And yes, you don't need the latest tool or formula that promises to change everything. And make sure you hang around until the end of the video. I'm going to talk about how I'm using AI and Copilot in Excel to speed up tasks, what tasks are best done by you, and what tasks you could kind of delegate to AI. And we've done toolkits before. This one is a bit different, so look out for some surprises along the way. And I'll also explain why this is here. I've also written out the whole toolkit on a single piece of A4 paper for you. Yes, this is your new up-to-date Excel cheat sheet. The download link's in the video description below, and if you do download it, you'll go on our marketing mailing list. First, let's talk about the Excel content creation market. Now, it's looking pretty crowded out there these days, but it's a good thing. There's lots of people making videos about Excel. There's just one thing I think you need to understand, which is these content creators, they fall into two different categories. Now, the first category I would term influencers. Now, these people are concerned with promoting Excel, and they cover the latest stuff in Excel. So the Copilot formula, for example, is just coming out. So you'll see lots of videos from these people with promises that this changes everything in Excel. Now, just bear in mind, they're probably not doing a huge amount of real world consultancy work. Obviously, I don't do any Excel t-shirts or merchandise or gimmicks, anything like that. Cheers. The second group I would term practitioners. Now, these people are less concerned with promoting the features in Excel and more concerned with how Excel works in the real world. So what would really help a professional like you? These people are engaged with real world consulting work. And I follow practitioners here on YouTube. I'll put a link to two practitioners I follow in the video description below. Now, who you follow on YouTube, clearly that's up to you. But when you're choosing the videos to watch and what advice you take, I'm just inviting you to bear this distinction in mind. Okay, so onto the toolkit. Our Excel toolkit is built on the following really simple idea, which is you're only ever doing one of 4 things in Excel. And the key really is to identify which of these 4 things are you trying to do. You can then select the best tool for the job. So what are the 4 applications of Excel? Well, firstly, we talk about data management, then data analysis, then modeling, and then automation. And a 5th emerging aspect of Excel practice is the use of AI and Copilot in Excel. Hang around until the end for my take on that. So let's take each application individually, define it, look at some example tasks related to each application so you can establish if it's relevant to you or not. And then crucially, let's look at the tools that are going to help you with each application. Now, with the tools, I've put our best beginner videos on each topic in the video description below, so you can get started with any of these topics today. Now, data management refers to inputting, importing, cleansing, or transforming data. Yes, getting data into shape so you can then do something useful with it. And I find this is the most common application of Excel practice. Yes, if you just open an Excel file and put something into a cell, you're now doing data management. So let's look quickly at some example tasks for data management. Well, one of our customers wants to get sales figures from 10 different managers located across Europe into a single Excel file. Another customer needs to collect contractor hours every day. So they need their contractors to input their hours every day, get that information into a single spreadsheet. And another customer wants to run a process overnight to consolidate data from 4 different Excel files, do some analysis, and then email that off to a few people. So these are all examples of data management tasks because they concern inputting, importing, cleansing, and transforming data. So what Excel tools would help with this kind of task? Now, for data input, I think you need to know 3 things. Firstly, basic cell validation in the spreadsheet. Yes, we need to ensure only certain values are coming into the spreadsheet so we can do something useful with them later. For example, can you build a drop-down menu? Also, Excel forms incredibly useful if you're collecting data from people in different locations. You need to get basic data into a single location. Forms are a super user-friendly way to do that. And finally, being able to use tables in Excel. Excel tables are the best way to organize data in Excel in a simple way. So if you're inputting data, you need to know about Excel tables too. So what about data import? Well, Power Query is a best place to start, at least if you're working in desktop Excel. It allows you to very quickly get data from different files or from different tables within the same file, put it into a single location. But if you're in SharePoint, OneDrive land, if you're working in the cloud, Power Query isn't so useful. So Power Automate is what you need. Power Automate, possibly combined with Office Script. These tools can help you bring data together, import data into a single file. Now, our beginner videos on all of these topics are in the video description below. So what about data cleansing, cleaning up data, getting it into the exact format that you need? Well, once again, Power Query is incredibly useful for this kind of thing. You can very quickly deduplicate data, filter data, perform some other kind of operation. So Power Query is recommended, but it's kind of a big deal, isn't it? Power Query, getting it to load up, it takes a long time. So for a slicker, leaner solution, check out Excel's data cleansing formulae, things like trim, things like unique. These will help you cleanse data in a simpler way. And also useful here are Excel's dynamic array formulae. Yes, a new feature in Excel. They're not going to change everything for you, I'm afraid, but potentially very useful. As I said, the unique formula and things like HStack and VStack are recommended for data cleansing. But for very sophisticated and bespoke data management operations in Excel, the kind that we do for our customers, Excel VBA really is the only way to do it. It's an order of magnitude more powerful than what we've mentioned so far. Yes, it's a coding language. It requires a lot of work, but could be well worth it. And as ever, our beginner videos are linked below. So that's our toolkit for data management in Excel. What's next? Data analysis is making sense of a data set by counting and categorizing data, applying statistical measures, and making things like charts and dashboards. Now, one data analysis task that we're engaged with is the analysis of football trading systems. Yes, our customer wants to take a trading system, see all of the bets that would have theoretically happened with that system, and then analyze that data set. So can we plot the profitability over time? Can we see what the variations in profit and loss are? Can we see if there's any of those big dips in profitability that we want to avoid? And can we display the key metrics really clearly, provide some kind of nice visual, a nice dashboard? Maybe this is data analysis. So what kind of tools in Excel might help us with that? Well, first, it's worth noting that without solid data management skills, your data is not going to be in good shape and data analysis is going to be very difficult. So first, check out the data management section, make sure you can clean your data and get it into good shape. So once you've done that, the next question is entirely conceptual. And without going too far into the scary world of statistics, you need to understand, is your data discrete or is it continuous? Discrete or continuous? So what's discrete data? Well, if you're working with text, good news, your data is discrete. But if you're working with numbers, your data could still be discrete. If you have a limited number of numerical options, for example, if somebody was rating a service from 1 to 5, your options would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's also discrete data. So what's continuous data? Well, if you're working with numbers, and your values could be any value in a range of numbers, 1.2345, 2.3456, that kind of thing, you're then working with continuous data. Now, this is important because the two toolkits for discrete and continuous data are different. Now, if you're analyzing discrete data, Excel formulae are incredibly useful, particularly the COUNTIF formula. Yes, this formula is the formula I do most of my data analysis with. It's the formula that counts. The link is in the video description below to get to know the COUNTIF formula better. Beyond that, I think you can stick with Excel formulae for discrete data. I would look at Excel's D formulae, Excel's data analysis formulae, things like dsum, d-average, d-standard deviation. Once again, a bit underrated, but incredibly useful and can be used as a basis for creating Excel dashboards too. But Excel formulae can also help you analyze continuous data. How to analyze a continuous data set? It is kind of tricky, the frequency formula. The frequency formula is your friend here, pure magic on a spreadsheet. This formula is going to create buckets or categories, and then it's going to count the number of data items in each category. A little bit tricky to set up. Link in the video description below for our beginner video. And again, it's a great basis for creating a nice visual analysis, a nice chart in Excel. But what about pivot tables? How do they fit into our Excel toolkit? Well, pivot tables are definitely for data analysis. The reason I don't recommend them straight away is a lot of people, including me, find them a bit scary. It's difficult to get to know that interface. But the truth is, a pivot table, if you can put in the time to get to know them, it's the best way to create a quick data analysis for discrete or continuous data. And there's more than that with pivot tables. You can quickly create a table, quickly create a chart, and then add things like slicers and timelines. You've suddenly got a really nice Excel dashboard. And once again, the link's in the video description below. I show you how to do this in about 10 minutes with a pivot table. So far we've got Excel data management and Excel data analysis as the first two pillars in our toolkit. What's next? Now, modeling refers to using Excel formulae to create a calculation chain consisting of input calculations and output that's relevant to some kind of real world situation. Now, what on earth does that all mean? Yes, Excel modeling is kind of difficult to define. So let's do it this way. Think about a budget planner, some kind of personal budget planner with some income items and some expenditure that allows you to understand, what your balance is at the end of the month. This is a good solid example of an Excel model. So Excel models are driven by formulae, but which formulae are actually going to help? There's over 500 formulae in Excel. And yes, just let me say that formula that some influencer tells you will change everything. I'm sorry, it's probably not going to change everything. So just focus on these. Firstly, the basic arithmetic operations, so addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication, and then sum. So those 5 basic things to get started. Then I talk about my big 4 Excel modeling formulae. So match, offset, if, and VLOOKUP. Yes, there they are. Match, offset, if, and VLOOKUP. And yes, you could substitute in XLOOKUP for VLOOKUP. You can even substitute in index for offset. But just with these formulae do the majority of legwork in Excel models. So just with these formulae, you can become a proficient Excel modeler. Practical formula building skills are really important in Excel modeling too. So for example, dollar signs. Those dollar signs in Excel formulae, what do they mean? What do $2 signs mean? What does a single dollar sign mean? This kind of skill is important in Excel modeling. And debugging a formula, building a formula across different sheets and laying out a model. We always say here that we'd rather have more columns and shorter formulae in an Excel model. And then even things like visual aids, like a dependency diagram. As always, link in the video description below if you're not sure what a dependency diagram is. It's a visualization of a model. So all of these fall into a practical formula building toolkit that's very important for Excel modeling. So adding modeling to the list gives us 3 of our 4 applications of Excel: data management, data analysis, and modeling. So what's the 4th? And don't worry, I've saved the best till last. So I said I'd talk about this, which is the medal I got for completing the Robin Hood half marathon at the weekend. And as you can see, I did it with my brother Steve. Some of you might know Steve. He helped in the early days on the channel, and I actually consulted with Steve about this video. So thank you to you, brother. And I wanted to show you, because Excel data analysis, learning skills that AI can't do. These are all difficult things. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And I don't want to hate on any Excel influencers out there, but a single formula, a new feature in Excel, is not going to move the needle for you. What just might move the needle is a better overall framework, exactly what we've presented in this video. But it is a marathon. It's not a sprint, but we're here for the journey to your Excel success. We're here at Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions. Now, Excel automation refers to translating a manual Excel process, for example, moving data from one file to another, into a short computer program to get that done at the click of a button. Now, Excel automation is the thing our company is most known for, and in my opinion, it's the one thing that might actually change everything in your Excel practice. A customer approached us a few years ago for help with Excel automation. Now, this customer had an Excel file full of responses to a customer survey, and each set of responses, so effectively each row in this Excel file, they wanted to translate into a PowerPoint presentation, was costing them a huge amount of time and money. Now, this was a desktop Excel job, so with Excel VBA, we were able to automate that process. Now, at the click of a button, they can generate these presentations in just a couple of minutes. Then also in the cloud, we have another customer who overnight wishes to collate data from 4 different Excel files on SharePoint into a single file. This can be done with Excel automation, in this case using Power Automate. So there's a couple of examples to get you thinking, how could Excel automation help you, your organization? So how to get started with Excel automation? Well, as with data analysis, the first question is critical, and it's entirely conceptual. And this is it. Are you working in the cloud on SharePoint or OneDrive, or are you working on good old desktop Excel? Because the tool selection depends on the way you're working. Now, a lot of people are working in SharePoint or OneDrive. If you're working in that way, then the tool you want is Power Automate, and then perhaps Office Script too. If you're working within a single Excel file, Office Script can probably get the job done. So these tools, if they're completely new to you, our beginner videos are in the video description. And if you're working in a more traditional way on desktop Excel, then Power Query could help you here, particularly if it's more of a data management operation, bringing data sets together, or more likely Excel VBA is going to be your friend here. Yes, I'm talking about Excel VBA in this day and age. Well, that's because it's unparalleled in terms of its power, in terms of its versatility. Yes, the automations you can achieve with Excel VBA on desktop are just mind-blowing, and it's a coding language. So yeah, it's going to take a big time investment from you, but I'm confident we've got the best learning resources on the internet for Excel VBA. As ever, the links are in the description. So 4 applications, 4 definitions, 4 sets of example tasks, and 4 bundles of tools to help you with each. Yes, this is our Excel toolkit, and I know it works. I know it works because I use it day to day in Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions in our day-to-day consulting work, but there's more. So how does AI fit into all of this? Does AI render Excel obsolete? Why do we need to bother about a toolkit anymore if we have Copilot? Well, I've used Copilot extensively in Excel, and I've used the available AI tools in the other platforms, things like Power Automate that we've mentioned in this video. I even did a 1.5 hour live stream where I did 5 Excel tasks, got Copilot to do the 5 tasks, and I kind of compared the outputs. That too was very interesting. So I think I'm fairly well placed to understand where we are and where things might go. First, AI in Excel. Copilot is the native AI tool to Excel, and at the moment it's available in packages for around $20 a month. So is it worth your money? Well, I've had a go with it, and in the 1.5 hour live stream I mentioned, I found it was really good at specific things, like mind-blowingly good actually at specific things. But are you even doing those specific things? So one-off data analysis tasks. If you've got a piece of data you want to analyze once, it is incredibly good at doing this kind of thing. So in the live stream I mentioned, we got it to look at some football data. The results were very impressive, with one caveat, and it is a big drawback, which is the analyses are very difficult to repeat. So Copilot will happily create output for you. However, to my surprise, I find it's reluctant to actually make changes to the spreadsheet. For example, it will kind of recommend a formula in the Copilot box, but it won't put it into the spreadsheet itself, and it won't format a spreadsheet. Yes, one of the tasks we tried to do in the 1.5 hour live stream I've mentioned was just getting Copilot to format a spreadsheet, and it basically won't do that at all. So I think there's an issue with rerunning analyses in particular. You know, most people out there, they don't just want to do analysis once. They want to do it daily, weekly, monthly. That seems difficult to do with Copilot. It won't set up a tool for you to drop the data in and then for it to produce the analysis. So potentially you'd have to engage with Copilot, have that conversation every time you wanted to do that analysis. Perhaps that's okay with you. That's just something to be aware of. Outside of Excel, I've found AI tools really helpful when you're trying to learn a new platform. For example, Power Automate. Power Automate is something I've learned just recently, really, just in the past 2 to 3 years. And I use the AI assistant extensively to help me build flows in Power Automate. And unlike in Excel, in Power Automate, it will actually put things into the flow for you. So as a learning support tool, I found it very helpful. Now, don't get me wrong, it still needs human intervention. As still, we need to do quite a lot of manual tinkering to get things working. But this really is when AI comes into its own, I think, not in creating end solutions so much, but more as a learning support tool. So I hope this simple framework for handling Excel and data related problems helps you really de-stress and simplify your Excel, as well as saving you lots of time and money. I'd love to hear how you're getting on in the comments. I'll get back to you there. I'll see you in the next video.